Okay, so in this presentation, what I'd like to do is answer some of the questions I've been receiving from you. Some of you have been calling me, some of you have been emailing me, and I just want to give you all the information you need in order to complete your internship successfully and graduate. So in this session, what I want to do is give you some of the background on the Capstone internship, and this should help you prepare your final assignments, review what the overall grading is, talk about the lifelong learning statement. There's been a lot of questions about it. Talk a little bit about the surveys that are going to be introduced to you, and then provide some of my sage-like advice as you enter the workplace. So first, what is the overall purpose of the internship? Well, traditionally, what we're trying to do is transition you from classroom to workplace. And that's not just a physical, a mental, a social transition. It's a lot of things. And you all have matured tremendously over the last several months, which, if you did keep a reflective journal, will serve you well as you prepare your lifelong learning. And hopefully you've been talking about this stuff to your site supervisor, maybe develop some additional professional relationships out there. That's all good. So what our goal as faculty is to have students take full responsibility over all aspects of your work. And that is, in the classroom, when we give you an assignment or assign a paper, we give you some pretty clear guidelines on what to do. Now that's no longer there. Your boss may give you some guidelines, but in the most part, you're defining the problem, which is why I'm always trying to get you to explain the scope, the context, the justification, and provide background. That's why I did that stuff. You also need to apply a technique in solving a problem. And I provided you all a lot of feedback on your case studies that you don't just, you don't state the problem as the lack of the solution, because then you haven't gone through any sort of validity or reliability in coming up with what the solution might be. You've limited it. You've limited what the solution could be. And now, next, we want to do is make sure that you are proficient in both verbal and written communication, and that's what the case study reports and the presentation are all about. We also want you to be creating the professional relationships and searching out networking opportunities. Through the Student Safety Organization and classroom guest speakers, we've tried to do that for you. Now that's up to you. We also want you to take full responsibility for improving yourself. Whether it is going to special classes, doing self-learning, reading books, whatever it might be, that's all on you now. It's not like you pick a class and it's all given to you. And finally, and hopefully this has been ingrained during your time at Whitewater, is you need to be practicing ethically to demonstrate professionalism in everything you do. So knowing what is expected and exceeding that. So here's what was laid out in the syllabus. And so 20% of your grade comes from the internship binder. And if that's something that you haven't been thinking about until now, there is some panic to be there, but we can still talk it through. You all submitted 2 case studies, which were 15% each, and then your presentation was 10%. The site supervisor review. So your site supervisor is going to be sent a survey. It's about 30-some questions. And the average of all of the results will become 20% of your grade. So hopefully you've impressed them. Next, the faculty advisor is going to review you as well. It's not weighted as heavily, but they have a rubric very similar to what the supervisor review is, but some other aspects. It's more along the lines of what I just covered on the previous slide. And then 10% will be divided between your lifelong learning statement and the final survey you're going to be given. So you're going to be given a survey that I'm going to talk about here in a moment. But also the lifelong learning is going to be, so it's 5% each for a total of 100% of your grade. A lot of you have been asking about this. And some of you, I've sent you Dr. Cap's description of what the lifelong learning statement is. And you can read it here, but what I feel it is that you've all matured a lot. You've changed a lot over the last several months while you've been in this internship. And I hope that you've been reflecting on that. And in kind of reading your own writing and what you've gone through, this metamorphosis, if you will, I want you to extrapolate that out into the future. So in the next 2, 3, 5 years, where do you want to be? And what do you think it's going to take to get there? Are there certain specialized trainings? Are there certain professional organizations? Are there certain licensures or certifications you're going to pursue? Is an advanced degree in your future? I want you to think about that and then write it up. And it should be, anywhere from several paragraphs to a little more than a page. And what you're going to do is going to be in your binder, but you're also going to be copying and pasting it to the survey that you're sent out. And that's how I'm going to evaluate it. I think that's about it. It's pretty much, where you want to be. Attend to what you plan to do in the future. The survey. So there's going to be several surveys, and I don't want you just to do one and say, oh, the others don't matter. They all matter. The first one is going to be the survey that I send you. It's going to be an email, a mass email through D2L. And so this is going to be, you're going to be scored on a 2-1-0 basis. If you don't do it, you get the 0, and you lose 5%. If you do it, but either it comes in late or you really half-ass it, then you're going to get the 1. If you take time to really complete it and it looks like you did take time and the answers are full, you'll get the 2 points. And then you do it on time. You get the full 2 points. So it's not a lot of effort. 10 minutes of your time, as soon as you receive the invitation, gets you the 2 points. That's 5% right there. The next is that the classroom climate survey. That's something that you should get every semester after every class. College of Business and Economics will send that out. You may be receiving it about the same time you received mine, but mine's going to be a mass email, excuse me there, and theirs is going to be specific, kind of direct. It's mass too, but you'll see the difference. So you want to go in and complete that as well. And that's where, they ask certain questions about, how was it organized and all that. So please complete that. You won't get scored on that. But that's something we want you to do. And finally, as you graduate, if you've completed the paperwork, you may receive an email either from the university or maybe the college. But I think the university sends it out, and then they just ask you to, assess your total experience at Whitewater, and they may ask for suggestions and stuff like that. So you may have 2 up to 3 surveys. But before I talk about commencement, remember I had talked just a moment ago about the site supervisor review. So when you all sent your internship information to KVant, you listed your site supervisor, their contact information. If that has changed at all, or you question whether that was accurate, you need to email me their contact information, because I'm going to create customized emails to each one of your site supervisors saying thank you for supervising student. We request that you provide us feedback on their performance. It's valuable to our program for improvement, blah, blah, blah. And if I'm creating these and it gets bounced back, I'm going to include you immediately. And so if there's any question whether you submitted the right one, you need to do it. If they don't complete the review, that's going to affect your grade. Again, it's 20%, so if they don't reply, that's the possible 0. So get on them, talk to them, say, my professor is going to be sending you, it's going to come from me, by the way. Professor is going to be sending you an invitation. Please complete it. It just takes a few minutes of your time, and you want to maybe verify with me their email and everything and their name. That's important. Now, on to the commencement. Since you're all graduating in the summer, you can all march in December. And a lot of you may be thinking, ugh, I don't want to drive all the way to Whitewater. But I just want to say that it's a good thing. There are very few formal ceremonies anymore in the world, and this is one to celebrate your achievements. And so if you can all physically do it, I recommend you do it. It's meant to be rewarding. You can see your peers. You get to come back to campus. It's always kind of meant to kind of motivate you or get you excited about what you've achieved. So if you take any advice from me, I think this is a good thing. I skipped my undergrad but went to my graduate ones, and I wish I had gone to my undergrad. So that's one of my regrets, that I didn't go to my undergraduate commencement, because it's a celebration. So my final sage-like professional advice to you as you transition from intern to young professional. Here's your number 1 goal: make your boss look good. This is good for you. Just like we say in the classroom, impress your professors, because then they will, write letters of reference for you, or when somebody asks about you, they'll give you a good review. the boss becomes that next phase that they're observing your work and your performance, and whether it's promoting within the company you're working or maybe you're applying for another one, you want them to give you a good review. That's really important. If you go interview for another job and they go, hey, can we contact your current supervisor, and you say no, red flags go up. It just does. So make your boss look good. They'll support you more. That's a good thing to try and strive to do. So talk to them, make sure that you're meeting and exceeding their expectations. Next, you should be always setting time aside for networking, or always looking for opportunities to improve yourself. LinkedIn is important. I've tried to introduce it to you. Hopefully you've used it and found its what it can provide to you. Spend time on that. Joining a professional organization, I've listed a few here, is important as well. It helps with the networking, it helps with finding experts in the field you can contact, and it creates opportunities for you. Next is volunteer, and you can volunteer within these organizations or within your own company or your community. Volunteering looks good. It gives you additional experience. Yeah, you're not making money, but you're someone who can be relied upon, that you can take on extra roles, and that's a good thing for you. Next is you should be attending extra meetings and seminars, pursuing certifications, licensures, going to conferences. This is important stuff. It really is. Even though you're at the end of your college career, you are just beginning your career learning phase, if you want to call it that. You should always be learning, and so going to these things is how you get there. Next is your professional reputation is very valuable, and realize the safety field is very small. We kind of all know each other, and so you need to be very careful with this persona, this reputation you develop. And so if you become someone who is excited to learn, is volunteering, is helping others, is wanting to do more things, that's good. That's going to serve you well, because you just don't know who knows who. And so if you apply for a position, or you're looking for a promotion, you just don't know where these positive reviews may come from or where these negative reviews may come from. So be careful with that. Next is opportunities will come to you. Either you earn them or they kind of come as a surprise. Consider all of them. Even if you have an initial gut reaction, I don't want to do this, don't say no right away. Take time to consider it. But don't neglect your current opportunities. So don't be jumping around, don't become one of those people who is a habitual job changer. That eventually that'll affect your reputation. But don't out and out say no right away to opportunities. Take time to think about it. Talk to your mentors, talk to your professors, talk to your peers, and work out, kind of weigh the pros and cons. Next is always challenge yourself. Don't get 3 years down the road and say, man, this is really easy. If it's easy, then you really haven't challenged yourself. You haven't grown. You haven't done things that you didn't think you could do. And that's how you grow. That's really how you build a reputation. That's where you get to places beyond what you had hoped to get to. And so my advice is, if things seem too easy, you need to kind of shake things up. Challenge yourself. Do extra things. And I listed a few things here that you could do to challenge yourself. So that's it. That's all I really wanted to cover with you today. Hopefully this stuff helps. If you do have a question, you can email me, call me. But congratulations, everybody.